Here we are, Conversations from Morrison Hotel, where we get drunk and talk about shit. What are we going to talk about? You don't know. I mean, sometimes we start on a subject, we don't know where it goes. We're at a bar, there's two people here. We're in Portland, Oregon. It's a Sunday night. There was stuff and a bunch of shit-talking pussies, and they're not going to do jack shit, and no one's going to care about them in 40 years, but they're going to be listening to this, so fuck them. I don't know the last podcast I did. Was it Josh and I? We have about 8 now. We were like gung-ho, and then I got some other stuff.
Yeah, I think you and Josh did one recently, and that was like a week or 2 ago,
it was longer than... It might have been 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
It was the one with you, me, and Josh. What was that
Was
one?
that the last one?
Was that the Dangerous Music one?
Yeah, we talked a lot about music on that one.
I think that might have been the last one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's not that I want to neglect you listeners. It's just I'm a comedian performer, and I was kind of figuring some stuff out. Now I'm back. I'm on fire, and I want to read some stuff to you on the air. But we'll get to that. But I had to figure out a schedule, and we're still. I mean, we started at the beginning of the year. This is like our 9th show for the year. It's pretty fucking good, man.
That's good. Not bad.
So I think Sunday night be good, or Monday night. I'm sorry. Either before or after my set. I keep meaning to do a show with Chris Joseph, owner of Morrison Hotel, for what he's have here. Interesting man, his journey from Boston to Portland. Scuffle with James Taylor in between. We'll hear about that. Blowjobs behind that bar. It's going to be great. Tonight, once again, Wild Billy Lions. We're here. I'm Ray Leader. I don't know. We always have ideas for shows, but usually we just kind of like, let's do this, and we run with it, and it's super cool. No. Okay, listeners, I'm sorry. Like I said, this software sucks cock, and when I have better software, I'm going to tell you the name of the software. Do not fucking use it, because it sucks cock. We're back, and it's probably only been a microsecond, but we had to figure it out, because I don't want to do an hour show, and then find out we're fucking recording. But we have ideas for shows all the time, and just kind of run with it, or we have ideas. I have a whole list, and but I'm like, I'll start drinking, or I'll be in a certain kind of mood, and I'll be like, you know what, let's do a show like this tonight. But I was thinking about the America show. Is it good? This sucks, whatever. I wanted to point out that with that show, see, now it shows it's recording, you fucking cock.
Did it just kind of pop up, or?
Yeah, now it's totally showing me everything. Before it's mysterious, it's like going, but
so yeah.
Actually, Josh and I did a little segment when we drove up to Seattle for my birthday. I think it's gonna be entertaining. You can see what I look like. You can see how ugly I am and how beautiful Josh is. And we're in the car and we got lost, and
vice versa.
We're doing things in the car that could be questionable, maybe in a court of law, but nothing. We don't actually do anything wrong. And we're listening to the band Fuzz. I'm talking about Fuzz. Awesome. Check them out.
Yeah,
band Fuzz, self-titled album Fuzz.
Big fan of Fuzz.
But yeah, usually we'll just have an idea. But let's do this tonight. Okay, let's do that tonight. What I want to point out was Billy Lyons, the show we did about America. This isn't like David Letterman or some shit, or like that Late Late Show that Craig Ferguson or Conan or something. And not to put those people down at all, but that's a very controlled atmosphere. It's going to a very huge audience, run by corporations essentially. Like, not to say they're not do what they want, but they have huge sponsors. It's got to be very professional.
Right.
And you think that you may think that those people are having a spontaneous interview, but they're not. It's all controlled. What we're going to talk about, it's probably scripted sometimes.
Absolutely.
If you have an actor who's an idiot or whatever, they don't want to look bad. But this is not like that, and I just wanted to point out, I think it's important to know that while Billy Lyons and I don't confer on each other's notes, I said, let's do a show about America, good or bad. He said, okay. And I had a whole thing in my head because I had been looking up certain things about the Soviet Union. I had an idea, and he just went into it, and he started, and that's where we went from. So just understand, you know, you're like, wow, these guys have it together, these guys don't have it together. It's just the nature of the show, and I like it that way. If we talked about it, it'd be less interesting. You don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
So with that said, tonight we're talking about Al Gore and what a fucking dumb shit he is, and fuck him, and let's go green and save the planet and pay fines on a private jet emitting gases and all that shit. So we might go in that direction tonight. We might go somewhere else. Might talk about music or something, and I think a lot of people are with Josh and Bill and I. It's like music is a huge part of our lives, so it comes up out of that, and I enjoy talking about it, and I know people enjoy listening to things about music. It's an addictive fucking thing, but
Ennio Morricone said that music is life.
There you go. It's everywhere, it means everything. It's a soundtrack to everything, and it keeps me going for sure. I listen to do my comedy. I listen to different things to get pumped up in different situations, and then the music's completely different. The very first set I did, I listened to AC/DC to get pumped up. I was like, I want like an electric fucking lightning bolt to come flying out of my hand. I just want to destroy this crowd. And I did, I must say. It was a great experience for my very first time. And I was like, comedy needs to be like AC/DC, where it's just heavy riffs and songs about sex and just destroying. And I went from being a musician to a comedian, and it's like, being a comedian or a musician is subjective. It's like, well, some people like it, some people don't. You gotta see where you're coming from. There's only one thing that's important in comedy, and that's making people laugh, and I love that. I was like, I understand this, I can do it. And then down the line, it was like, now I'm getting more intricate with my comedy. I'm not just doing like AC/DC, gonna fuck you in the ass all night long, baby. It was like, I was listening to like Aphex Twin and Square Pusher and kind of taking it through that. But like tonight, I've been doing readings and stuff. My preparation music, I was making some chicken. My cat was trying to steal it. I made some mac and cheese, and it was Merciful Fate, which is King Diamond's. I don't think it's his first band, but the band they simultaneously have going, and they had a big song, well, Black Funeral. That Hail Satan song, I can't even think of the name of it at the moment.
It's Black something.
Well, Black Funeral is one. I don't think Black Funeral is that one, though.
I think it's Black Funeral.
Is it?
Yeah.
It could be. It's off the album Melissa, which I don't understand why that album is named Melissa, but I've never checked it out. But that's how I got my night going, and I am like, I've been looking up Gigi Allen and King Diamond a lot, and I love just that brutality, and people talk shit about those guys, and like, what are they doing, and that's what I'm always doing with my art, my performance. Like, what is this? But I'm not just like hardcore as those guys, but it's inspiring. Just like, I'm gonna put makeup on, or I'm gonna take a shit on the stage and take it or leave it. And I'm like doing this literary thing in a comedy way, but it's like take it or leave it. Fuck you, here it is. And people responding positively. But I need something to go on. I need that, like, damn, let's do it. It's a Merciful Fate. And I get to the coffee shop, and it's like, how many times is my girl gonna leave me? It's like, fucking shit. Okay, cool. And I was just like, leather, makeup, blood, destruction, fire, Satan. Well, you know, whatever. It's cool. Whatever works for you. But music important. So perhaps tonight could be Al Gore and music. The world is ending. It's beginning. It's being destroyed. It's being created. What are your thoughts on Al Gore?
Well, I think in the beginning Al Gore tried to do a good thing, / Al Gore tried to save himself and his career.
Now this is after he's vice president.
Right.
Okay.
After he's vice president, and loses, and I'm making quote signs to Bush in 2000.
Oh, right, he ran for president, and I almost forgot.
He actually won that
He
election.
actually won, and he didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, because the elites decided that they wanted a Republican, good old boy, cowboy president. So they wanted 9/11 to happen. They couldn't make that happen without this guy, this good old boy, strong Republican, pro-war.
Have you ever seen? There's a feature not fictitious, but like a movie about that election. About how Al Gore was ripped off in the behind the scenes, and it makes you hate fucking people. It makes you hate the way the Republicans handled it. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's a very good movie, well done, but it is disgusting, and I can't think of the name of it, but you should watch it. It's interesting.
Absolutely, would love
It makes
to
you
watch it.
hate politics.
Yeah, I know they're scoundrels. I know how it hurts.
The movie really made me. It really made me think about scumbags and scumlords. And
Oh, yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so Gore lost, so to speak, unfortunately in 2000, and he needed to sort of redeem himself, and this elite, rich, idiotic way he tries to, it's like, oh, I'm a Democrat, I'm a liberal, I need to do something publicly about environmentalism. He could have picked like feminism or animal rights or any of those like liberal.
Do you think he really just he was thinking about it in that way, and that's what he did?
I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
That's really interesting. It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean,
it makes me hate him even more.
I could be wrong.
That's probably more the reality.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I gotta,
What am I gonna do? And then his assistant was like,
right,
blah 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 down the line,
got
like
these
animals,
options. This
lesbians, pedophiles.
is the most viable now.
Yeah, right. Environmental.
With a Republican as a president, with a vice president who was the CEO of Halliburton. It's like, okay, let's do environmentalism.
Right.
It's a wheelbarrow filled with money. Maybe he cares, maybe he doesn't. That's kind of speculative. It's not really relevant.
Right. He probably cares like we do.
Right, but because he's rich and because he's elite, he doesn't get it, so he doesn't actually apply those principles to his personal lifestyle.
It's more of like a career move.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. You're exactly right. And he still flies around in a private jet.
Right.
He still has multiple homes, mansions.
Right.
And he's not living the talk, He's not walking the walk.
He's showing videos and slides.
Right.
He's trying to look important.
He's got publicity and income, but still just doesn't understand.
I mean, I don't know, and I don't know how much you know about it. And maybe he's going to come here and yell at us, but like, if he really gave a shit, all the proceeds from those lectures and shows he did would go completely to charity. And I find that hard to believe that all that he's making money off of it.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Let's say even if he's making $10 million and he takes $1 million, it's still fucked up, and that's still a lot of money.
That's a lot more than most people make.
But that is essentially is like an act. That is his act.
Right.
That's
his
show.
role. Yeah.
Right.
Right. So I don't. Maybe he believes in it. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he gets it. Maybe he doesn't. I don't think he gets it.
Probably not completely.
No. I think he might believe it, but I don't. I definitely think that he doesn't get it. So.
Do you think he's kind of like a child, like one of those rich politician guys that looks in the mirror and is like,
definitely
he's like, hey Tipper, look at me, honey, I'm doing something. And she's like, that's cute. There is no passion there.
He definitely has a silver spoon up his ass. And he truly understand the nature of the problem or how to best address the problem. You know, in my mind, if I was going to do something like that, which I do consider myself an environmentalist, I would be like, okay, I am a rich, influential person.
Right.
I'm going to take my money. I'm going to build, you know, everybody, I understand the need for everybody to make a living and to be comfortable. Fine. I'll take my money and a reasonable amount. I'll build a house that has solar panels and a windmill.
Right.
A small house, you know, because I have no plans to have children or to do anything else. I don't need to live in a mansion at all. I do not need it. Small house in an area where I want to live with renewable energy available to me.
A huge fancy house can fuck up your mentality too. You get lost. Like, what am I doing right now?
Right.
I'm miserable. How
There's
can
no,
I be?
It's a museum. Why do you need that?
How can I be effective and be hardcore in my art and like live in this fucking mansion?
People need to question like, what is necessity? What do you need?
Right.
What? How much space do you need? How you know? I can right now. I can honestly say, and I can be narcissist and I can be greedy at times.
True.
But I can honestly say wholeheartedly that if I had the money right now, I would be completely happy in an A-frame, small, like 1 to 2 bedroom condo.
Sure, yeah.
That is big enough for me and a life partner, whoever that may be, with solar panels and a windmill and you know, a Prius or something.
Yeah.
You know. I would be completely happy with that
just
as long as
important.
I've got like what I need.
Yeah.
Like those things aren't. I don't think that those things are too much to ask or excessive, and I also don't think that they're vanity pieces.
No.
So
what's important is what's going on in your life. Those are just necessities.
Right.
And if you want to buy some fun things, it's cool.
Right. But
you don't need to be like have a fucking servant.
Exactly.
Shit,
like,
but I need horse stables or something.
Right. I do need to have what I need though.
Right.
You know,
Right.
The basic.
Nothing wrong with having money.
And I'm gonna
yourself. Like, just don't. It's not like, once you become beyond, you have no idea what's fucking happening. Like.
And one of the old kind of what do you want to call it? Philosophies is those with the power to do something or influence things, you know, have the responsibility to do so, and I believe in that. So if I had the money and the power and the influence to help the needy, I would. And a large percentage or portion of my earnings would go to that. So I would take care of me first, obviously, because I'm like, I need if I don't take care of number one, I can't, you know.
Right. If you're worried about your shit.
Right. You got to be practical. Yeah, exactly.
That's the idea, though. It's like Al Gore's so fucking rich.
Right.
He has everything.
He's
had a political career.
He doesn't
and now he can really do
that.
something and help people. But he's fucking full of shit.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't need to live in mansions.
Whereas you and I, we were set up and we're like, we've done things.
Right.
Now let's try to really do something to help humanity.
Right.
Help the planet. We wouldn't go about it in this bullshit fucking way.
Right. And I think that the elites and people who were raised with privileges they're out of touch with.
Do you know anything about Al Gore's background?
I don't actually. So I would like
He'd be like, I grew up a poor little farm kid.
I
like,
doubt
no
it.
way he would be acting the way he's acting.
He wouldn't be as high ranking as he is in politics. He wouldn't have made it that far. He grew up, everyone did in politics. Obama, Hillary Clinton, you know, the Bushes, they're elites. They went to Ivy League. They had money and power and influence. You know, it's all about connections in America.
I don't. How do you feel about people that went to Ivy League schools?
How do I feel about them?
Yeah.
Well, some people actually worked their way there. They were smart.
That's a big difference.
Gifted.
Big difference.
Exactly. They actually earned it.
Right.
But those who are like the elites who just You know, like, yeah, you can go here because of who your dad is,
Right.
how much money he has. He's paid us off. He's paid his dues. He was an alumni or in this fraternity or that
Right.
secret society. That's bullshit.
Right.
That's elitism. That's favoritism, and it's wrong. And obviously, I mean, you know, George Bush is obviously not very competent, and he's a very average person for a guy who was elected leader of the free
Right.
world. He's apparently not qualified for any high-ranking position, but it just shows, you know, that position is just it's a puppet show. You know, he's just a face. He's almost
Do you think that
irrelevant.
people that go to an Ivy League school, they can maintain like a mentality and I hate to use the word idealism, but perhaps like someone who scraped and scratched their way to get in there, just based on their lucky enough to have a big enough brain to get in there. Do you think they can, I mean, there's been some people, but not be corrupted and indoctrinated into the bullshit of that system? Because they really want to shape you into what the elite wants you to be. And
Right.
let's face it, they're running those schools.
I think so. I think it's hard, but I think it does occur.
Do you think there's been good people who have gone to those schools and been like ruined? Like, obviously, there's been people who have
Absolutely.
who had a great ideas that could have really changed the world in an awesome way, and then big companies are like, if you do this, okay, here's your wife and kids and big house and car, do what we want. Now it's ruined. But beyond that, just people who had experimental ideas, or you know, they grew up poor or whatever, and like, this is my chance to actually do something, and then as if they were broken down into the fucking.
Oh yeah.
Because they don't like rebellion in those schools.
Right.
They don't. I can't say they don't like original thought, but they want original thought that's going to benefit them.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think that happens a lot. I think that most of the time that probably happens, more often than not. But I do think that there are true heroes and people with values who go
Who are
there.
awesome people who like did it the right way.
Like,
Like,
yeah, exactly. So it happens. It just, you know.
What was your college experience? Like, where did you go to school?
I went to Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah. So mine was funny. My parents kind of forced me to go to college, and I didn't do very well in high school. So I had no scholarships or no grants or anything like that, and I'm not, you know, I'm totally white.
Now,
so-
why didn't you do good in high school? Because you didn't care, or you just couldn't do good, or what was it?
I didn't care. I was totally apathetic.
Okay.
I was actually a really smart kid, and I
You just thought it was all bullshit.
yeah, I thought it was
Okay.
bullshit. I was
It
totally
wasn't interesting.
I was apathetic,
Yeah.
and I wish I would have done better because I could have, and I completely.
And I will say that to
didn't
you
give a shit.
kids, it's like, I mean, you might listen to us and want to rebel and not give a fuck, and like, I think it's all cool. I kind of like that vibe of thinking of me that way, but like, I do want to say, do good in school, man. That is no bullshit. Do good in school. It will take you a long way.
Yeah.
Get A's if you can. It's like people. I did really well in school, but I did really shitty in school. But there's times I learned a lot and rebel and do your thing, but it's like an underground thing. It's a sneaky thing. It's like, okay, I got honor roll and shit, but then I was like, used it for other things to better myself. But we need good people in the world like you to get A's and like influence and make the world better. So do your homework, man. Do good in school. I just want to put that out there.
Education is the most important thing
Right.
in society.
And read as much as you can.
yeah. Read literature.
I was thinking, because I've been doing all these readings, and Kristen and Josh are like, do you think you would like to read for kids? And I'm like, I would love that, but, and I was thinking in my head of things I would do. Like, let's say I go to, like, an elementary school, and I read, like, Little Red Riding Hood. And I think that'd be really funny if I could do it my own way, because I was realizing that the big bad wolf is actually a tranny, and it's kind of weird and trying to kill people. But what I would tell kids is that reading is like the best thing you can do, man. Like, it seems like work and annoying, but if you read the right things that are awesome and like so easy to read, it makes your life so much better, and you can like not give a fuck about so much unnecessary bullshit. But what I would really, let me just say this one thing.
Okay, yeah.
What I would say to like little kids, like that would maybe set something in there, whether they're in a basketball or video games. Every time you read, even like a sentence or two, you get smarter.
Yeah, I agree.
Just reading a printed word, and what I want to say to them is like, you may not want to read this thing or whatever it is, but every time you read, and if you actually read a complete thing and read something without pictures or whatever, if you're sitting at your window reading and people are walking by, or you're at school, or every second that you're reading and that person's not, you're becoming smarter than them. And I think that could be really powerful. They could be like, yeah.
Knowledge is power.
Right. Go ahead.
I was going to agree with you and say that I had a communications teacher in college, and we were talking about whether it's better to read or watch TV or like a movie version of something, and he said that reading engages your mind intellectually and kind of like forces you to understand something, and you have to it's a lot more proactive and engaging as opposed to watching film or television, which is very passive, or you just see.
You're just sitting there.
Yeah,
it's happening, right?
Whereas you read something and it literally engages your mind. That's why a lot of people today don't like to read, because it's like it takes effort.
Right. You think they don't have the time,
but it's good because it exercises your mind and it forces you to become more intellectual and more critical thinking and more.
You really are ahead of other people,
right? Which is important. That's good. That's a good thing.
I would say too. It's just I don't want to be one of those like writers or readers that's like, literature is dying, no one's reading, because it's not true. A lot of people are fucking reading, and but if you look throughout history, a very small percentage of people are readers.
Right.
Even back in like Middle Ages, almost no one read. So no one's ever I mean, there's all your hardcore audience, and I wonder about like Charles Bukowski, who's one of my favorite writers. Like he said he would go to like a biker bar and people would know him and read his stuff. That to me is amazing. Regardless of what you're doing, if you can get a biker, hardcore asshole that like treats women like shit and does a bunch of drugs and steals and hits people with brass knuckles to read anything, I think that's fucking a serious accomplishment.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Or just these like whores, or these chicks that are these alcoholics that have nothing, and they're reading your shit and getting something out of it. These people aren't reading Shakespeare. They don't give a fuck about Shakespeare, and that's things like that have fueled me for writing. It's like no one cares about Robert Frost, or they don't care about Dostoevsky or Hemingway. But if you can, like, in this modern era, especially with like technology, if you can write something that's just fucking for real, man, and people pick up on it, and you make them laugh, it's like, it's so important. Like, It's like the real shit. Like, fuck being like intellectual or dramatic or really trying to like. So just give people that little something, and it's good for everybody. It's so much. It's like you can take something more like, you can say deeper, like more dramatic, and like, you know, scholars and professors and students really, it's cool. But if you can blast something like that out, even if it's just like a movie version, and you can put that energy out, it's the best. As much of that intellectual, like, because I think, see, people think Bukowski is like this, like, oh, he's too salty, or this alcoholic, like, woman hater. Forgetting all that, it's like, he's not a woman hater, he's obsessed with women. That was his torture. But when damn it, I had a whole fucking thought I was going with. Bukowski is one of the most spiritual writers I've ever read. So it's not just about the women or the drinking. I can see past that. But to me, he's on the level of like Hermann Hesse, like Siddhartha, or almost like, I know it sounds crazy or far-fetched, but like a modern Buddha. Because he's speaking to me of what my life and the life I live in. He's not talking about lofty, living in trees and monks. He's like talking about the drunk down the street, the dad beating the fucking woman, and sitting in his house just having beers because his life fucking sucks and he's got to go deal with his wife. But he does it in such a beautiful, poetic way. And like just sitting at the bar, it's like, that's reality, that's real life. Everything else is just lofty fucking bullshit or things you come up with. So you can do that, but like, be like, I was laying in bed, I wanted to kill myself. It's like, but I did this. That's really, to me, speaking to people. And like, there's so many writers like that. Or a lot of people think they don't like writing or reading. And I've been lucky enough to find these really awesome shorter books, even from like 1917, and they're like, wow, man, like, this is like so easy to read and funny, but like, I can totally relate because it's talking about the real shit. I don't remember we started with that thought, but I got into Bukowski.
I don't know, I kind of lost
I kind of lost where we were at, but
I have no idea. I'm a little drunk, so
I'm pretty drunk too.
Nature of the beast here.
It is Nature of the Beast at the Moho, and you're like, you idiots, you were talking about this.
Well, suck it.
Oh, we were talking about school children and reading and what you can get out of it. You want to take a time out?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. You know what's funny is, like, we'll take a break or something will happen, and you guys are like, wait, they were talking, and then bam, now they're... For you guys, it's like half a second. So when I listen to this back the next day, I'm like, okay, we're back. And it's like, where'd you go? I didn't go anywhere. But, you know, it's still fun to be like, you know, while Billy Lyons got a beer, and you can hear we're not bullshitting you. We're actually at the bar right now, and I know there's people that are going to be like, this is cool, but goddamn, that fucking music is distracting, and well, whatever, you know. We'll figure it out, but stick with us, and whatever. You know you love us already. We're almost like 10 shows in right now, so whatever. But I was thinking, I was having some crazy thoughts sitting here. I don't know, you talk. What?
Put me on the spot.
What about, I was just thinking about things that really just hit me hard, where I'm like, yes. I'm just like, thank God this exists. Thank you. You think about people who create things, musicians or writers or whoever, and you're like, thank you for struggling and like wading through the mud and the blood to fucking get this to me.
Sure.
Even if it was years before. And I think that's for artists, it's like, that's why it keeps me going. It's like, yeah, I do alright, and I get drunk and have a good time and whatever, but you have to look down the road, and I think about those nights. Even tonight was fucking great. Like, writers are like, dude, just fisting me, like, bro, like, awesome, thank you so much. When you get that thank you so much just for existing, creating. When in my life, the weird things I've done, people are like, oh, why are you doing this? Or this isn't normal, or it's not going to work, or don't do this at that. But you did it anyway, because the people that came before you did it, you know it's right. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you know it's working, you do it, and you keep going. And, but I'm really thankful for those people that the odds were completely against them, and they made good in the fact that they got shit out, got it recorded, or whatever it is, got it printed. Thank God, like, they make me who I am, and they shouldn't even have existed. If they would have followed the norms of fucking bullshit society, they never would have done what they did, and it would fucking suck big time. I'm like, thank you, and I go to work, I'm like, I gotta go to work, but I'm listening to this awesome album, or reading this awesome story, and I'm like, thank you so much, and it keeps me going, and that's what I want to push on. That's what I want to carry on. I want to pass that on to another generation. That's what keeps me going. That, like, everything sucks. I want to blow my head off. Everyone's a fucking idiot, and then they have my shit, and they're like, thank God, thank you.
Speak to me.
I think it's the only reason to fucking be an artist, really. It's just that. Other than, you know, you have something burning in your soul, an idea, and you will need to get it out. But when you're like, no one's digging my ideas or whatever, everything's against me, but you have that one or two people that are like, thank God, that should keep you going no matter how you do it or how long it takes you. That should be, everything else is bullshit.
Well, they put in the work, they put in the effort, and it's hard work, and it's the most difficult thing you'll probably ever do, but once you do it, the end result, I think, is nothing but reward, nothing but good things. I recently listened to a podcast with the daughter of George Carlin, and I don't know
really?
I can't remember her name, forgive me for not remembering her name, but she said whenever people have some sort of inspiration to do anything artistically, any form of artistic expression, she said, follow it. She's like, because what I've observed is that that's the universe trying to say something through it, and it's using you as a vessel.
Absolutely.
So follow, you know, go against the norm, you know.
Right. I think too, what I want to say is I did an open mic tonight of people doing poetry, stories, songs, and like some people are better than others, obviously. And when I first started doing things years ago, I did some bullshit, but it seemed right. I didn't really know what I was doing, and even if like it feels right. If it feels right, keep going. And if you have some kind of inkling down the line that you know you're gonna kill it, even if it takes you like 3 years, please fucking keep going, because you know it's only a beginning. Like when someday, I don't know, there's gonna be a documentary about me, and a lot of people think I'm fucking amazing, like I just shit this stuff out, but it's taken me a long time to be able to but I really want them to see how I started, and I wasn't that good, I sucked, but just that little idea, and keep working and building, like Louis C.K., Chris Rock, it took them 10 years, they had this little thing. You gotta start somewhere, man. And it's like you have the desire, but you actually, if you have something, you fucking know it. And you go to somewhere and do a show and you don't fit in, that's fucking great. Like, don't try to fit in. Fuck those people. And like, maybe fit in somewhat to get somewhere, but like, that's a whole nother discussion. But if you keep building, you might have a little bit of bullshit. But if you work hard every day, you're working on that, you're evolving, writing, you're gonna get somewhere. Don't be like, oh well, or like, oh that sucked, whatever. The important thing is to keep going, persist, destroy, like, find other things that are like what you're doing and what they did. Like, it's a hard thing to explain. It seems obvious, and like I know you know what I'm saying. But if you really, it's more of like a spiritual thing. It's like using your brain to process, but using your heart and like, I don't want to seem cheesy, but like your heart and soul to fucking guide you. It will happen, the magic of like, bam, you'll be like sucking, and like, I've had some hard days, man, and people don't see that, and it makes me mad. They're like, oh, you just do this, whatever, it's no big deal to you. I'm like, well, I'm still a cook, so I'm obviously not that fucking great, but I've had a lot of rough days, and I've had awesome comedy nights where I'm like, I am gonna be on HBO. I have fucking destroyed everything tonight. And I've had nights where I just want to lay in a ditch and die and be run over by a car because it was so fucking horrible. But way back when I was decided I want to be a creative person, didn't know where it was going to take me, I was playing music and working on my shit, and I was from a very small-minded place, and it was like, are you this or you that or whatever. It's just like the 90s, so there's a lot of old 80s metal dudes left over, like you gotta play all fast and shit. And then bands like Nirvana came, it's like a punk thing, like, you know, you can make a song, you can have a lot of heart and soul, and it can be awesome. You don't have to be a fucking technician or whatever, and it changed my thinking a lot. So I could do this, and well, to make a long story short, there's a lot of circumstance and whatever, but I just kept working, kept fucking around with the guitar, and I found out a lot of awesome things that were, people played simple, and it worked for me. And then later be like, you're brilliant. It's like, I'm playing like 2 notes this whole song, and they're like, no way, you know, with a delay or whatever, but to get there, I had to jam with metal dudes. Like, I had to go through hell. That's the only people that I could play with. And I kind of had to bullshit them a little bit. It's a weird...
a lot of metal dudes or technical?
They're tough, dude. But I would play and they'd be like... I played with them for 2 hours, be sweaty, so loud, so deaf. And they'd be like, you don't got it, go home. And I would feel horrible. But maybe just being, I don't know, I'm just kind of crazy anyway and obsessive, and I'm like, if I want to do something, I'm going to damn well fucking do it. But I would feel horrible, but I would still wake up the next day, pick up my guitar and play guitar, and I would get better that way. So I'm like, what I'm saying is, you might go through hell, but like, those people now are like nothing. They have, you know, maybe a wife and kid. They might be in some shitty cover band. But if you actually, I knew that was only a beginning. I wanted to take it somewhere, and I did. I went so far beyond. If you have something, and like I said, Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, he had so many dumb drummers, metal, but he knew he needed those people to get where he was. And I was like, and then any musician will tell you, play, when you're starting out, play with anyone you can. Anybody of any style that will play with you, and you will learn something, and you gotta be smart. And then through eventually we were like, this music's out of fucking the stratosphere, where did it come from? And like, I jammed with a lot of metal people to get here. Like, what? Like, the cool people.
Yeah.
I didn't have the Velvet Underground living down the street. I didn't have Thurston Moore as my next door neighbor. My next door neighbor was into Metallica and Slayer. That's who I played with.
Right.
Until I figured it out. Yeah. I'm just saying, do what you gotta do. It seems shitty now. But don't ever turn your nose up. Don't ever like think you're too good. Just go with it and figure out what's working and learn and bring you to the table. I'm telling you. I want to tell you this now because I want the world to be better, and it's only going to make the world a fucking better place because you're living in a very small section of space and time, and there's a gigantic fucking world out there that will accept you. That's what I'm saying. So.
I agree. I like that.
What I was gonna ask you was, we're kind of in another realm now, but what is some stuff that you've read or listened to where you're like, man, the world sucks, like, it's just such bullshit, like, you gotta get a job and like, go to school, and man, what is this all this for? But then you listen to something, you read something, and you're like, thank fucking God this exists.
So something that inspired me to rise above the norm, kind of. A lot of stuff.
Give me some severe highlights though, or like, thank fucking God.
Man, there's so much. I don't know where to begin. Lately, and this is gonna sound fucking cliche and silly, and people are gonna laugh, but like Led Zeppelin, like in a big way, like I don't know, man. Like those dudes just had some poetry to them, and they were good musicians, and just it's so hard to have a successful band. It's just so hard for all the elements to come together the way they do, and those guys just fucking nailed it, and that's why they were so popular. It's just like pure luck that happened. And if you have that happen, it's just total luck. Like, it's so lucky you got the right group of guys. Everybody's perfect at their instrument. Everybody's perfect at maintaining a band. Is a relationship, and it's the hardest relationship you will ever fucking have in your fucking life. It's harder than the relationship with your mother, your father, your fucking girlfriend, wife, whatever. It is just so difficult. And rock and roll is supposed to not have boundaries or limitations, but it does, and unfortunately, just like everything, it's an institution, and you need to respect those things. There's just so many elements that go into it. Unfortunately, I don't like that, but I'm just being honest, like when you're a front man, you can't be cutting in on another band member's stage presence or their routine or anything like that, or their playing. And that band just had it perfect. They just really, really worked. Like somehow they just really got it. I've just been really studying them and listening to them.
Every member was equally good.
Yeah.
Which is rare.
Right. Even like Plant, like he was a front man who didn't play an instrument, which is hard. I get, like, that's rough, because if you're just a vocalist, you got a lot of responsibility.
Especially a band that jams for 20 minutes.
Right, exactly. What do you do when they're jamming? Just dance around? Somehow.
Sometimes I love Led Zeppelin and Robert Plant and all that, but sometimes when I watch their live videos, I wish you would just sit down and not try to do anything.
Right.
You should go in the back and get blown or take a shot or something.
I would say, like, if I had a band similar to Led Zeppelin in those times when there was jamming going on with the musicians, I would take a seat.
Yeah.
step aside and say, like, ladies and gentlemen,
Right.
this guitar player, this drummer, this organ
Right.
player, this bass player, they're gonna do their thing.
I think it would be a certain mentality you would have to get into.
Yeah,
It'd be like they're gonna do their thing now, which would be difficult.
Really difficult. You
Yeah.
need to understand your fans and
Right.
what they want. You need to understand like what your role is. It's really it is not easy.
You might want to run around the crowd. Who knows?
Right.
Do something.
You could step off stage, go mingle with the crowd, you know, let your band play. You could step aside, just sit down. It's hard to say. It's hard to judge. But I mean, that's rock and roll. I don't know if it's supposed to have set boundaries or anything like that. It's just
it's limitless, but it's there definitely is a set standard that is there. That's
kind of unspoken.
It's an unspoken line, but it's there.
Yeah.
But sometimes that unspoken line, people can go to a few feet over it, and it's fucking beautiful.
Right.
Things. So.
You just kind of gotta know, and that's the most difficult.
As long as you know what the boundary is and you're stepping over it,
right.
You're all right.
That's
but
the most difficult part. Yeah.
So, I just feel like most people stay 10 steps behind that boundary, and that bothers me.
Yeah, you don't.
I'm too afraid.
You don't want to stay too far behind it because that's like kind of cowardly, kind of anti-rock and roll.
Right.
You kind of do want to cross the boundaries, kind of overstep the lines, because rock and roll is about like breaking through barriers and saying "fuck you" to the man and whatnot. But at the same time, your fellow band members are artists in and of themselves, and you need to give them the space and the respect that they deserve. So you need to let them express themselves. And that's all I'm saying about like the stage presence thing. So it's difficult. You just kind of, like, I don't know, you just gotta kind of use your better judgment, is what I'm saying, on stage and whatnot. So
yeah. Something else I was gonna add of
brick wall here.
yeah, I was just thinking, now it makes sense. It's just rare to have a band that I kind of want to get out of this this riff right now. I kind of want to go back to, but I'm kind of lost in the music thing. But I mean, usually a band is like, it's one guy that rules the band. He writes all the songs. He's the master of the instrument. Usually sings, plays guitar, whatever. And everyone else is a backseat to this guy. But once in a while, we're lucky, and we have a whole band full of people that are fucking masters of their instrument.
Yeah.
And I would say one band that, I mean, Zeppelin, obviously, and John Paul Jones. I feel like he's always kind of gotten ripped off. He's a fucking master of the bass, master of keyboards and the old school electronic equipment he uses. Very annoying, difficult. But a modern band that people could probably relate to, where every person in the band is a master and still going, is Radiohead.
Yeah.
Everybody in that band is super good, and that's what makes a good band. And a lot of things with music is chemistry. I mean, I was even looking up like Kiss, and they weren't really that good, I don't think, like in the scheme of things. And you know, Peter Criss is known for not being that good of a drummer, and you know, Gene Simmons, he's not like a fantastic bass player. He'll probably be the first to tell you that. But Kiss, like, they had a cool thing, and like, you know, Detroit Rock City comes on, whatever. You're like, okay, it's a cool '70s rock song, and but there's something about the four of them, like they tried out other people, and then even the makeup and the costume, it didn't work. And then Ace Frehley, and I gotta say, Ace Frehley is my favorite name in the world. That's a great name, and at one point with my ex-wife, we're gonna have a kid, and I was gonna name our kid Ace. Not after Ace Frehley, but I love the name Ace. Whether it was a boy or a girl, I think Ace would be a great name. But just a vibe, and then when it came together, it was right. And I've seen this proven from looking up Kiss recently. And it seems to me, I don't want to talk shit about like celebrities I don't know, and I would love to have different people on the show, but Gene Simmons is kind of considered the asshole of Kiss, and you know, he's kind of an asshole, whatever, I'll admit that. But people are always like, why don't you have Ace Frehley and Peter Criss back in the band? And it's like, because they fuck it up every time. And they're like, oh, you're an asshole. It's like, no, I don't think he's an asshole, because the things he's describing that they've done are things I've dealt with people in bands where they just fucking blow it. There's a certain person that we know who was on this podcast that blew it one night when he was being quiet and leaning down and drunk, and that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. They blow it when the time is important. I don't want to name names, but or my friends that I played electronic music with, and I was doing well, and I busted my ass and made some very nice tracks. You know, stayed up all night, and girlfriends hated me for having my headphones on, and whatever. But I got shows, and I made it, and I played at the shittiest bars where people never thought they would have electronic music, and they're like, how did you do that? And I'm like, because I busted my ass, and I made it my own merits, and I didn't know anyone, blah, blah, blah. But I want you to play with me. And then they show up, their equipment didn't work, or they were drunk, or blah, 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 and they blow it, or people that were in my old band, and they couldn't handle it. And I need to fuck my girlfriend tonight. Because people think that, like, musicians are these dedicated people that are awesome at their instrument, they can just, that's not true at all. And when I first started playing music, having my own band, I would figure people would show up and be able to handle their shit. I wouldn't have to tell them what to do. But these are people that were playing for longer than I had been playing, and they wanted me to show them exactly what to do. And if I had to do it all over, I probably would have done that. But I was still kind of a tyrant. But I wanted people to be. I wanted to be a whole creative experience. But I needed to show them note for note what to do, and they just kind of wanted to be like an employee, like, okay, tell me when the show is, how to play the song, and then you take someone like Gene Simmons or Billy Corgan or Tom York, and you were like, what a control freak, you know, or Jimmy Page, what a control freak, but these people want them to be control freaks, because they don't know what to do, and it's not really their fault, they're just not born with the mentality of, like, creating. But here's what I'm gonna say through all of that: it's like chemistry is everything in a band. So Kiss had Peter Criss, Ace Frehley, and it was difficult eventually. But so they found Peter Criss, and he first played with them. Wasn't a very good drummer, but they were like, "This works. This is awesome. We can feel it. It's all about feeling. Nothing else matters." You can play Beethoven's Ninth till you're blue in the face, but if you can't blend it with the band, it doesn't fucking mean anything.
Yeah.
And then Ace came in, audition. First song, they're like, this is it, we got our band, it's obvious. So it's like, then Ace and Peter got weird, they left the band, and I think it's more their fault than Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, to be fair, but I wouldn't want to be in a band with Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. But when you watch footage of like the different people they had, you're like, this is cool. They can play the parts, and, like, they don't fuck up, and they show up on time. But then, if there's just a little thing where there's Peter Criss sitting in or Ace Frehley, you feel it. You're like, this is right. This feels right. There's a chemistry there. There's a little something. So that's a big part of like a band. It's not like, and people get mad like, why don't you have Ace in the band? It's like, well, they're fuck ups. But Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, they're these capitalistic assholes, but they still love music. They still love playing the best rock and roll they can, and they know they can only do that with Peter and Ace. Peter and Ace are unreliable fucking people. That's just reality. I'm sorry. But when you see, you're like, you know what I mean? You can watch like the same song with two different people, and then you watch that same song with Peter and Ace, and you're like, yes.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you have Paul McCartney and Ringo doing a song. Who knows? Let's say Billy Corgan on guitar and vocal, and lead guitar. Who? I don't know. Johnny Greenwood, Radiohead.
Sure.
He's a great lead guitarist.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is awesome. But then you go back, you put it, and then you're like John Lennon, guitar and vocal, George Harrison. You're like, this is the shit. It's just something about. It's nothing about the other people as musicians. It's just like a certain magic,
chemistry. Yeah.
and that's why like a lot of bands like Jesus and Mary Chain, Brian Jones Massacre, they physically get into fights on stage. And like my old band, those guys were fucking misfits. They weren't that good. And like, I mean, they'll agree. They're probably gonna listen to this, and we were always fighting and battling. They're gonna agree or whatever. But I knew I was stuck with them because I tried to play with other people. It didn't quite work, but I knew that we had that chemistry. But like, you should get other people. And I'm like, but these are my friends. But it wasn't about how well they played. It was about this. When it was working, it was so fucking working. Mm-hmm. And there's almost like the color of the room changes when you're playing. When you have that kind of energy going on, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to find this
right
anytime soon once it ended. And it's very frustrating. As annoying as those motherfuckers were. It's like, I love them to death, but like, so annoying. Liars, backstabbers, lazy. But when we were on stage, they played it the right way that I told them. Magic, beautiful. Just a something, and the way we came together was a big accident. But
yeah.
You got any final thoughts? Getting into the hour.
No, I don't actually. Sorry.
We've run a large gamut of.
Yeah, it's a lot of information to process.
Yeah. So you're writing songs.
Yeah.
And you bought a new guitar.
Yep.
So talking to you now, and then we'll talk to you later about it. See where you're at. What are your thoughts about? I would love to have someone ask me this way back in the day, and then listen to it now. But what are your thoughts on your creating? What are your reasons? What do you want to? I don't want to ask stupid generic questions. Like, what do you want to accomplish? But like, what is your motivation? Like, what is driving you? Like,
yeah, it's a valid question. I welcome it, and I would ask the same question. So my inspiration kind of is, as cliche and corny as it sounds, is to kind of bring about change, or change the world, or change people's perspective a little bit. I want to alter people's consciousness. I want to force people to look at things a different way. And also, I want to bring about like an awakening. I want people to wake up and to notice all the problems in the world and to do something about it, to care about it, and to ultimately do something about it. So, that's kind of my.
So when you're writing songs, are you thinking about that?
Yeah, I'm thinking about like issues and socio-economics and politics. How can I connect with people today in the modern sense? I try to write poetry, but at the same time I try to write like kind of contemporary poetry. Like I want to connect with people. I want to speak to them. I want people to hear that and say like, yeah, exactly. I want to get their attention. I want them to hear that and say like, hey man, like that's relevant. That's something that's happening now. That's something that speaks to me. Like I care about that. He's right. Like he has a point. We should. I want people to mobilize. I want people to get off their asses and do something. That's my motivation. That's my inspiration, and I'm inspired by all artists that have done that. There's so many I can't even name, but I think you know where I'm coming from.
Well, name some names. Just off the top of your head. You don't have to be on the spot.
Say Dylan. Say Neil Young.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Who's someone that's like off the grid that you like that would be someone might want to check out that they haven't heard of?
There was an artist a few years ago that isn't super, like he's popular now, but he might not be known in the mainstream. I think he had kind of a Dylan-esque feel to him. Was Josh Ritter.
Okay.
He's a folk artist, and he had like a political kind of. He was political at the same time. I had heard that he went to college and he studied scientist. He wanted to become a scientist, and he was really into physics. So like a lot of his music had physics incorporated into it. And
Josh Ritter, that's a good one.
yeah, so he talked about that and like talked about the creation of the nuclear bomb and all that. And that hit home for me. That was cool. Nobody had done that before, really. Incorporate like literal science and equations and actual scientists. Like he wrote songs about scientists that he liked and how he had fallen in love with them because of their equations and their findings. And it's like, that is fucking cool. Like nobody's done
it's
that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
There's a lot of graphic novelists who were mathematicians or interested in scientists that end up actually doing a graphic novel.
Yeah.
It's really good now. People who were like in hiding in the woods who escaped that life and they're now doing these silly graphic novels and like I don't mean silly like I'm putting them down, but like really funny, weird graphic novels. And I love mathematicians. They think of the world so much differently. Like I'm sitting here looking at the space through the window in this car and this post in the front, and that's all I'm looking at. But they're like thinking of dimensions and the post and possibilities and equations.
They're completely left.
And they're not even trying to do it. They just think that way.
They see numbers and measurements.
I think it's great.
Completely left-brained. Yeah. We're right-brained. I think we're artistic.
Yeah, we don't think that way. Yeah,
philosophy and poetry, and they see like numbers.
But they're total artists, though, too.
Yeah.
In their own way with numbers.
In their own way. Yeah. Absolutely.
Who was it? Tchaikovsky. His compositions were used mathematical equations to write them, which is crazy to me.
Oh, really?
But even like a lot of British music, Aphex Twin, Pink Floyd, they went to architecture school, and they instead of building like a house or a building, they used it to build songs, like the same mentality. So.
Yeah.
So where do you think? What is your goal, your fantasy of the future of your writing? Like, where do you hope to be? I don't want to say where you're going to be in 5 years, but where do you think? Where do you want to end up? Like, when you look back and listen to this other people, what are they going to think? Like,
if I'm honest, in 5 years, I hope that I'm making a living doing what I love, as opposed to just doing some fucking shitty job that I just do to survive. Also, you know, I'm not shallow, but like I want to be able to live and be happy at the same time. Yeah. You know, be content.
I want you to.
But also, I want to like, you know, I want what I do to have a positive effect on humanity.
Yeah.
I want to speak to people. I want people to be inspired. I want to help people, you know, who are less fortunate.
Do you see yourself as like someone who tours in a band and then they can come to like Occupy, say, and do like an acoustic set? It's gonna mean something like that.
Perhaps, yeah. I'm trying to look at a bigger picture than that. That's a little bit...
You think you want to go more across the board of like...
Right. Yeah, I do. Like, I want to... You know, I want to connect with people who aren't just into my taste in music necessarily, or my ideals. I want to connect with everyone. Like, I want to be universal. It's like... a little bit arrogant, maybe, or...
No, I don't think it's arrogant. It's fine.
I really want to be connected with humanity. That's like my thing. I want to be in touch with humanity. I want to really...
I think as an artist, like, you can think loftier, like, artists, like, people are into art. There's people who are easy.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, they're already... But my thing is, I want, like, dishwashers to watch my act and love it.
Right.
Read my writing.
No, yeah. I know exactly
what would you want to say to like a guy washing dishes at a shitty restaurant right now who like will listen to your music? What would you really like music is kind of it's powerful, but it's kind of bullshit too. It's like a haze of like, okay, this is what I'm saying, but I'm kind of like drawing you in with this sound. What would you want to straight up say to that person who's struggling and they don't have anything? They're not going to be a musician. Maybe they want to be a chef, or like maybe they want to be a good cook or a manager. What do you have to say to those people who are just like, but they really want something? They're so frustrated.
Right.
What are you going to give them on their way to work?
I would say... No. That's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
It's not an easy question.
It's hard to sum up in one, but I feel like that's what you're trying to get at.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to ask you.
You're right, and you asked me a hard question, and I appreciate it. And you challenged me.
You're like, come on, I want to do something.
Right. Say,
like. Give them you want to give them a reason to leave their house and deal with probably their bitchy girlfriend because they need to make more money.
Right.
And they got to go wash dishes. Give them something so they can be like, thank God.
You've just got to do that little extra. You've got to put in that extra, like, little 110%, like, if you want to see change. And that sounds cliche. That's not even good enough. But, you know, just...
But I think what you're saying, though, you gotta give them a smile on their face and be like, thank God, or not even or the opposite, an angry sneer like, fuck you, boss.
I've got something.
Okay.
You gotta get past all your little petty human needs and wants. Like, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I need a nap, I need, comfort food, I need this, I need that. Irrelevant. You're relevant. You're nothing special. You need, and I don't mean to be snarky. I don't want to sound like too rough, but you need to fucking kick ass, and it's a hard world out there. You need to say like, motherfucker, like I was dealt a shitty card, dealt a shitty hand, but I have to have that extra incentive to fucking kick ass. Like, you gotta put in the work. You have to put in the effort. You have no choice. You know. Okay, you gotta work 50 hours a week. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, in your spare time, you got spare time. You have to put in that extra effort.
So you're saying, like, by living that life, obviously no one gives a fuck, but do something so someone will give a fuck.
Right. You want somebody to give a fuck, you gotta fucking put in the work.
See, what I think, personally, I agree with what you're saying, and I think people should fully realize that. But as like an artist and musician, you need to make those people feel special. You need to make them feel empowered so they can do something, and it's all not nonsense.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And tell them why they need to do it.
Right, and you need to connect with those.
It's a hard job, but I'm just saying.
Well, the first step, though, like I was just giving the first step, is that you need to fucking make the effort.
You want them to have their. This is a basic breakdown. You want them to be on their way to work with their fucking headphones and their iPod with their album on going, yes, I want to tear down the walls, yes, fuck the man.
Right.
Now, they might not necessarily do that, but that energy travels a long way, and maybe in 5 years even, they're going to do something.
Right.
It doesn't mean they're going to scale the great heights against, like, the tyranny, but, like, it's a positive impact, and then maybe at the very least, let's say they fucked up and got some chick pregnant, they're going to pass that on to their kid.
Right.
That's what I think the best you could do with what you're saying, put that energy out there, like it doesn't have to be this way.
Right.
But it's difficult of like, you can't, well, maybe if you're Bob Dylan, but you can't purposefully write a song being like, okay, this is what this song's gonna do. But it's a good beginning.
Right.
I think. Alright, well, man, I feel like this is a good podcast. I wanted to wrap it up somewhere in a conclusion, but let's go from there. Irish singing, taking us out. You get it. It kind of went. I'm thinking more artistically because I'm working on my shit. I'm thinking of my role and possibilities and point. What's the point of it all? But I think you get it. So we're gonna say goodbye and just keep on fucking trucking, man. Like, fuck the man, fuck the tyranny. Just you live in your own mind and fucking enjoy yourself and love every fucking minute of it, man. Like, find the good shit that gets you off, but don't get lost in the good shit. Like, make your life better and do it outside of the fucking bullshit, dude. And don't let people fucking put you down. You can do it. You can do it. You don't need to deal with their fucking bullshit. And don't worry about your goddamn iPhone and that shit. Like, it's all right in the heart. It's all right in the head. And you can do it. And maybe even that just means being a manager at your job. And that's your way to make the world better. And you don't gotta be a cocksucker. It's putting people in that's revolution. Putting those people in even the smallest position, in a position to like evoke change, or maybe even you you work a counter at a convenience store and saying that one right thing to make not someone feel like they're an oppressed piece of shit. Just help each other out, man, and like love each other. And I don't know. I don't want to be cheesy, but it really is up to you. You think you can't do anything, but every single day you walk out that door or post on Facebook or Twitter, you have all the fucking power, man. Like, you think the Illuminati or fucking whoever, you're much more powerful. You fucking got it right here. So just keep plowing through, man, and don't let anything fucking stop you. So I'm gonna say goodnight from Morrison Hotel and Wild Billy Lyons, Ray Leader. Good night, world. Goodbye.